Can you share with us a little bit about who you are?
My goodness, I wish I knew, but I'm someone who was born in India and initiated at an early age into the unity of all religions, because at the core of Hinduism is a vision of God speaking through all of the religions about the nature of reality. So from a very early age, I understood beyond thought that God is one and that there are many paths to God. I'm English, I have Indian blood, so then I had to go through the English educational system, the concentration camp of reason, and I overachieved wildly, and I became a professor at Oxford when I was 21. Be careful what you ask for, because being in that sterile, elitist world nearly drove me mad, and at 25 I returned to India after 15 years. And I had a series of overwhelming mystical experiences which made me understand that everything I'd lived up to that moment was an illusion, and that I would have to go on a very deep mystical path. And I did, and I became initiated into Tibetan Buddhism in Ladakh. I became initiated into Sufism. I found a Hindu teacher and pursued the path of devotion. I began to translate Rumi as my essential guide. And then, when I was 41, my guru told me that I couldn't love the man I loved because there were no homosexuals in the in the kingdom of the mother. She was supposed to be the divine mother, and I realized then that she couldn't be enlightened. And I went through the most terrible dark night with my husband. I married him. And out of that came a completely new realization of the universality of religion, but also of the necessity to put love into radical action. And from that experience was born sacred activism, and that's what I've given birth to, or what has come through me, a vision of sacred activism, which I believe is the force that can help us now transform our appalling situation into the birth canal of a new humanity. So that's what I've been up to.
Wow.
But the relationship, strangely, that I missed out is the crucial relationship of my life, because just before I met my husband and went through this dark night, I met the person who really did transform me the most and continues to, who was a man called Father Bede Griffiths. He was the greatest Christian mystic of the 20th century, after Thomas Merton, or with Thomas Merton. I met him in his late 80s and fell irretrievably spiritually in love with him. And through his grace, I came back to a vision of the Christ, not as a Christian, but as the universal force of love in action. And it was
like Christ consciousness.
The Christ consciousness. And I realized that Jesus' unique contribution to universal mysticism was his insistence, both with his teachings and with his life, that love doesn't mean a hill of beans until we put love into radical practice on every level to undo the structures of power and build the structures of love.